This is the Risky Roads podcast, the only Nebraska ball podcast. Today on the show, we discuss, are we the only Nebraska ball podcast? Also, we obviously touch on Creighton, but before that, we make you work for it by listening to some talk about Minnesota. So we got it all for you guys. Remember, follow on Instagram and Twitter at Risky Roads Pod. It'll help you know when new episodes are coming out and just have all this cool Nebraska basketball content. And finally, our big / not that big announcement. So the first 50 people who leave iTunes reviews, we're on our way to 50 here, they will all have their reviews read on a podcast. So I'm going to record a podcast with the first 50 reviews. I've seen somebody do 1,000 of these, so I did not listen to it, but it is possible. It won't take as long as you think. But yeah, there will be a podcast, so if you really want to be a part of it, you can say whatever you want as long as it's not like cussing or inappropriate. We want to keep it not explicit since we haven't had any explicit content. But other than that, if you want to say the Nebraska Beer podcast is like better than us or anything like that, like I'll read that stuff. So have fun with those. Now the catch is you have to leave a 5-star rating. If it's not 5 stars, it won't count. You won't get it read. So make sure you guys leave 5 stars in it for us. It helps with the algorithm, even though, I mean, we're probably not going to be breaking any top charts soon. And I guess our other announcement is the new intro will be used today. It's kind of long, so if you're on iTunes, it's like 1 minute and 15 seconds. You can just hit the 30-second fast forward button if you don't like it that much twice, and you'll be good. But if you do like it, give it a listen. Here you go.
Let's go Big Red.
Greg's a cheater.
I got posted to Jordan, man. Risky roads.
We said we're going to change the podcast to normal if we ever get the tournament win.
So get ready to change their name.
So Jake and I are back. I watched the game, obviously, at the arena, which was pretty fun and exciting. Where were you, Jake?
Yeah, so I had my own basketball game, so I had to watch it unrecorded video, so that wasn't as good, but I don't know. I wished I was there, because, like, you could, like, I almost was getting into the game watching it the next day, knowing the score and stuff, because you could hear the crowd through, like, the TV so much. But,
yeah, it was a pretty awesome crowd. And what was your emergency that you had last week?
Yeah, I broke my finger, so I wasn't even playing.
So, Jake, somebody on Instagram DM'd me, and they said that we're not the only Nebraska ball podcast. That really confused me.
Well, I mean, we're the only people that make good content.
Yeah, well, there's one that, like, talks about some other team half the time. I think we just beat them, right?
Oh, yeah. I do too.
Yeah, I think it's called, like, because half of them cheer for the losing team, so it's like the half losers. I don't know, something like that. And then there's this other one, but I listened to it. They said they were, like, signing, like, with Nebraska and basketball, but, like, I think it's a beer podcast.
Yeah, I heard about that one too, but I never actually learned anything about the Huskers.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I mean, I I think we're the only Nebraska ball podcast, but we'll see. Maybe somebody will prove us wrong. So we obviously watched both games. We have 2 games to cover here. Minnesota and Creighton. Which one do you want to start with? Do you want the bad news or the good news?
Let's just talk about Minnesota for like 5 minutes and then we'll call it.
Oh man, I don't know. I could get into Minnesota.
I don't want to though. It's not as fun.
So Minnesota, we lost 85-74. Need to pull that up. But obviously played okay during the first half. Kind of let the lead slip, I think, at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
And then we just did not do well at the end of the game. What did you see that led to our struggles?
I mean, I think scoring 75 on the road is an okay number, but we just can't give up that many points just in general. So I think it was a defensive issue more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty clear that Amir Coffey absolutely destroyed us in that game. We were all surprised by... I mean, he is huge. That guy, he could get into the lane. He could ball handle. He cannot shoot, which we probably should have played different defense on him. Ben Simmons' defense, or how people play Ben Simmons. You just sag off him as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, but he did hit some threes, though, like off the dribble.
Yeah, he hit 1 or 2, which is crazy. And
he was just so hot at that point that anything he threw up was going to go in.
Yeah. Okay, so I just pulled up some stats, and also if you heard some fuzz there, we have our light, which is apparently really loud, and since we're recording this at 10:30, we are going in low light mode right now. But I was actually wrong. Nebraska lost 78-85. Doesn't make it any better. But Amir Coffey had some big numbers. He played only 31 minutes. He went 8 for 16 from the field, 6 for 13 from 2, which means he went 2 for 3 on threes, which is pretty interesting. Then he also shot 17 free throws and made 14 of those for 32 points, which is pretty crazy. Only probably the second highest scorer against us was like Reggie Bullock in the Creighton game. He also had, 6 assists and 6 rebounds. So that's pretty crazy. I mean, even with 6 and 6 on those, what's the stat that it's called, the kid stat, where you take your rebounds and assists and square them and then add them together and then do the square root of that? It kind of is a better indicator of how good overall in triple doubles and stuff. And it being over 7 is absolutely incredible. So being 6 and 6 in that game with 32 points is one of the best games you can have.
Yeah.
So you said that the defense was what we obviously struggled with. What do you think we could have done different, or what was happening that allowed that to happen?
I mean, I don't even really know. It was just definitely think, well, how well did they shoot from 3 like other players? I don't really remember that much.
So they shot...
Because if they weren't shooting good, we should have been putting more people inside.
Wow. They shot basically no threes. They were 37% from 3, but that only 3 people shot them, and they were 3 for 8.
Yeah, I mean, I would have
very few.
Really sagged in the defense just so once he got past the one guy, he didn't have a wide open layup. I mean, I think he often didn't have wide open layups, and he was just finishing them. I don't know. But
I think one person I heard went back and watched it, and he said that. So I think a lot of people blamed it on Palmer, everything, and I did too. But when you go back and look at it, apparently it's kind of just team defense. They would set screens for him, or for Palmer, and he was guarding Coffey the whole time. And then they had to switch or some. But usually Palmer kind of stayed on him, but then like they didn't hedge correctly, or they switched and like Copeland didn't guard him one time, or something happened. And some people said that like you should put Tanner or Roby in, but I didn't think that was a problem at all. They actually Roby did really well. I can look it up. He had a lot of blocks. Do you think that Tim Miles should have switched something in there?
I mean, I guess there wouldn't have been any like hurt in trying because he was scoring at will. So I guess you could have tried to throw somebody else on him.
Yeah, Roby had 3 blocks in this one.
You could maybe say you want to see, like, you could have put Roby on, but I don't know if, I feel like Roby would have just fouled out.
Well, but he didn't have that many fouls at the end of the game. Mostly I'm thinking the end of the game.
Yeah,
he actually did foul out, but, like, he didn't have that many until very late.
Yeah.
And he might have had to, like, foul.
But, like, if they would have put him on, like, I don't know, earlier.
Yeah, but to me, either they could have gone 1-3-1, which it makes no sense to me why they wouldn't at least try that, because, I mean, it's not like something you haven't ever practiced.
We try it often, like we did it against Creighton yesterday, and we've done it in the past, like, a decent amount.
Yeah, and usually
I don't know if we ever did, or we just maybe did, like...
And we did it in the first half of the game, and it worked fine. And you usually can do it against teams that shoot the 3, because it's not that great at guarding the 3, or who can't shoot the 3, because you can't guard the 3 that well. The only thing is maybe offensive rebounding, but we were sucking at that anyway.
Yeah.
They were getting offensive rebounds every single time. So
yeah, definitely could have tried it more.
Yeah, but in that game, some people still had pretty good offensive numbers. I said that was one of the better offensive games that I've seen the Huskers have, actually, before.
I mean, yeah,
the next
78 on the road against a good team is plenty of points to win a game. It's just...
Yeah, and so I thought that, let's see, so Thomas Allen had a good game. Well, he scored 9 points, but he was 4 for 6 and 1 for 3 from 3. And
it's
then,
funny, before these past 2 games, we talked about, like reevaluating our preseason, like, most improved player predictions, and I had said Thomas Allen, and we were kind of disappointed. Now he's just going off, so
yeah,
I think I'm correct now.
You think that he's more improved than Glenn Watson and Isaac Copeland and Nana?
Well, Nana hasn't played very good the past few games.
Yeah, I guess. And
Glenn was already good, like, his freshman and sophomore season, so it's a little different.
Yeah.
And I guess Copeland is pretty good, but he didn't have a great game against Creighton. He was fine. But
Thomas only had, like, what is it? 13 and a half points per game in the last 2, so that's not so great. But if he can
season high in the first half, like almost the first
going,
quarter, technically.
Yeah. Then, yeah. But the other guy who didn't play super great against Creighton, well, he didn't play that much, but he played really great in this game, was Brady. He had 9
Brady was
points.
Unstoppable.
I don't know. I kept saying he should have played more. I think that's what I would have done on defense, too. Because I would have put Brady down low and then had Roby go up and at least try to guard Coffee. And then, I don't know, maybe you get... Even just having guys who are taller out there makes you more switchable. Well, maybe Brady wouldn't be able to switch onto that if Murphy was...
I think it just moved more like if he gets inside the lane, it's just a little scarier than...
Yeah. I mean, I would just, like, if Thomas Allen was getting caught on him, like, basically he would have no chance.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. But yeah, Brady ended up being 4 for 4 in this game. He played 15
pretty
minutes.
easy when you're a foot from the basket on all 4 attempts.
5 rebounds and a block, 2 turnovers, and only 1 foul. But, yeah, that's
he does good at fouling.
Pretty much a perfect game.
Yeah.
For playing 15 minutes. Let's see, is there anyone else? Roby had 15 points in that game.
Yeah, that was solid.
That was kind of the start. I mean, it kind of felt like a few guys kind of started their rise. Copeland played pretty well, but maybe not as well on defense. Yeah, he shot 40% or 60% from 3 for 5 in that game.